I'll just check light speed if it is there. For हम लोग start कर लेंगे. Yes. Okay. Okay. So Narayan sir, आपको तो I don't have to introduce you like most of the student. You have a very big fan base of students. They love you very much, and so I need not introduce you. I'm very happy
No.
that I'm very happy that you took out the time and we were discussing that. Am I clear? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
So you took out the time, and we can. So you told me yesterday the schedule that you are going through rigorous schedule of government job. So still you made a time out. Thanks for that. And I know there will be many students who are rearing to ask you question because they were already from Bangladesh and all. They were telling me that they need you and they want to ask you, and some are ready with questions like on
I
primates.
see.
So before we go on to primates, sir, I wanted a very basic idea, like uh, because everybody, like somebody started off with reptiles, but many of the trend was many started with birds, and then some move into reptiles. That other day, the people were speaking. So, did you have the focus from very initial that you will go in mammals or primates, or it was like something else beating around the bushes, and then you finally decided?
So not really. Actually, initially, like I used to call many of my students that we are failed doctors. So since we didn't get into medicals or say engineering, then the best option is to choose zoology. But mine was a very conscious decision to choose zoology because I also got into chemistry majors and physics majors, but somehow I really wanted to run away from mathematics.
Okay.
So then I thought geology is the good thing. And within geology also, I was not very keen on pursuing my career in say biochemistry or physiology or cell biology. I was always fascinated by the diversity of life. But till my graduation, I was not very sure what career I will pursue. But one lecture by one of the Professor Sunayan Bordoloi of Bigorua College. So he actually gave a talk on primate social behavior. So, and I think that I can say that that could be my turning point. So I was really fascinated by primate behavior, and I went and spoke to him, and he directed me to go and talk to scientists of at that time in the US primate projects. So I went there and I spoke to Dr. Dilip Chatri and many other primatologists at that time. And I thought, okay, this is what I really wanted to do in my life. And that day and today, I think
Sir, I'll
I
just interrupt you in
didn't
between.
touch too much. So
The network that you are using, like the network is not very good.
is it?
Yeah, you are using mobile network, sir.
So can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you, but
No,
the
no, no.
pictures.
It's a now.
I can hear you, but your your video is pixelating.
Oh, I see. I see. So
Now, okay, yeah.
is it okay now?
It's better now.
Okay.
You can, yeah. So after that, sir.
Okay. So I was just telling that once after that lecture by Dr. Sunan Bordole sir, I think that really helped me to choose what I really wanted to do, and I was really fascinated by the primate behavior. And in fact, most of us actually attracted to wildlife because we really love the behavior part. Okay, So, and later on, we diversified into ecology, conservation, and other stuff. But I think the hook is that we all love behavior, animal behavior, and it's kind of one particular area that really pull students to this field. So I was also fascinated by primate behavior, but later on I diversified and I started working on ecology and conservation. But behavior being a very important component of wildlife, and I still love behavior, but I do not do that much of work on behavior right now. And then I joined Guwahati University, and with the sole purpose of pursuing my masters in with specialization in animal ecology and wildlife biology. So I was very clear from the first semester, from the first day, that I wanted to do my specialization in animal ecology and wildlife biology. And yeah, so after that, I got into that fourth semester, and where we did specialize in animal ecology, wildlife biology, and I did a very small project on rhesus macaque in Assam Zoo, Assam State Zoo, and yeah, that's the beginning of my long uh, love for primates.
So, as you said, sir, that a lecture some way, a lecture change your whole perception.
Absolutely,
Lecture by Sunoan Bordoloi, sir. Now, the whole purpose of this type of lecture that we have organized, the purpose is same. That
yeah.
somewhere some Narayan Sharma is watching you, and maybe this lecture can change his life.
I hope
So,
so.
yeah, so these small steps can go a long way in changing the whole perspective of life, or the stream of life of a person. I believe in that
Absolutely.
way.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
so
I really feel that there are a couple of instances in your life I think which define the trajectory of your career actually. So
okay.
mine was that particular lecture on primate behavior by Sunan Bardole sir, and subsequent other people who motivated me to continue in wildlife biology, particularly in primatology.
Okay, so sir, you did your MSc, and you told me at one point of time you were not sure. In a casual discussion, you told that you were not sure that you will go for PhD or MSc. At one point, you are very indecisive, and and then suddenly you change the course. So that transition was like a make or break, sort of, to speak, like that.
Absolutely.
That one moment could have determined your whole trajectory to the different path. So what at that point of time motivated you to come back to this field?
Okay. So, Jadita, what happened? Like it happened to many of the students when they clear masters, and then they when they face the real world, where there are no opportunities, no research opportunities, and because most of the people wanted researcher who have some experience, so people get a little bit demotivated. And I was fortunately, I was immediately after my masters, I was able to do a project of Wildlife Institute of India um, on this hula gibbon survey in Meghalaya and Mizoram. But despite of that, when I can visibly remember one particular instance, I was in Garo Hills, Bagmara, and I was thinking, what am I doing? Okay, so is it so I think though I thought like I would continue my research in primates, but sometime it happened, no? When your friends are doing some wonderful job, when they are settled, when they are
Earning.
pursuing other careers, then that kind of demotivate you. I think this is the time, this is the real time to test your passion, you know. So what I did, I actually wrote down around 20 options that I can pursue, right from IAS, IFS of IFS, bank PO, even the businessman, dairy farming, agriculture, everything I wrote it. Then what I did, I started striking them off. Okay, so which I think uh, that suits my strength and what are my weaknesses. Okay, and I thought IES needs extensive preparation. I think without that extensive preparation, you cannot think about IES or IPS or most of the civil services. I thought, no, that is not cup of my tea, because I am a kind of a person who loves going outdoors and do really close to nature, then being PO is not my cup of tea because I cannot do like a monotonous work. Then I finally zeroing in on two options. One is research. Uh, I think it's the three options. One is IFS officer, and second is the research, and third is academics. Okay, so I know that academics and research are like a bye
Almost
bye.
similar.
You
Bye bye.
almost say. But there are subtle difference between it. Like you can do research in some research organization without say actively in the academic field. Then I had three final shortlisted three candidates. Then I said no, IFS I cannot do because I was also staying with one of the IFS officer, and no, not because of his influence, but I thought again the IFS you are limited by certain rules and regulations, and there is not much that you can do there. So that was my feeling at that time. Then I thought education, like teaching, at that point of time, I thought no, that also not my cup of tea. So finally, I zeroed in on research, and that was clear. After that, I had a very clear mind that I wanted to do research. So till 2010, I was continuing this research. I thought I would build my career on research. So then, after 2010, something happened, and some personal health issues happened, and that let me choose academics as a career.
So, sir, many of us, uh, we think like primates because we say what is primate, and we have a very vague as a general layman. Like, should I say a gorilla, a chimpanzee, a primate, or like there are broad groups? And I have a question that I'll ask you later in the program as we go on. But once you are in the field, like once you started your first, so what was the first time you visited a field for the purpose of surveying primates?
Uh, I think the first time we went was in Borazan, Birzan, and Padumani. This wildlife sanctuary. These are like a fragmented three disjunct fragments in Upper Brahmaputra Valley. So I was fortunate enough to meet my future supervisor, Professor Indesina there, and one of our mutual friend, Dr. Prabal Sarkar, introduced us to him. And we're very fortunate to spend around 1 month with Professor Sinha and Professor Dr. Prabal Sarkar in Upper Assam. And I think I still remember the field days that we did in Borazan, Bejan, and Padumani, and the counting primates there, identifying them in the field. So learning the primate population estimation techniques, vegetation sampling techniques. So that was, I think, it's a Borazan, Bejan, and Padumani first
So,
exposure to primates.
so now after so many exposure in studying primates and all, for example, like if I see a huge flock of, or what to say, like a huge pack of rhesus macaques somewhere, so I am not able to distinguish one from another.
Okay.
So in field, if you are observing and observing, can you tell apart each individual from other?
Yeah, I think it is possible, but you need a little bit of time, you know. So it's just like if a Martian comes to Earth, you will all see like Jayaditya, Narayan, everybody is similar, okay? But
Similar,
we are
huh?
different, right?
Yeah.
Facial, and it's similar to primates also. So if you have a very closer look at each individual, physically also they have very distinguished characteristics, and also behaviorally also. So, for example, there are certain in human being also there are people who are slightly docile, slightly say aggressive. Some are shy. Primates also, if you go and observe them, so each one of them has a different personality. So this personality term, so like now people there are a lot of studies on the personality in this in primates. I think that's in fact a whole body of work now is developing around this personalities. So this is there in primates. This is there in say elephants, because all elephants are not similar. Okay, so because some are habitual raiders, Some are very aggressive, some are very bold. So in rhesus and in any other species also, that if you spend little bit of time, particularly with the macaques, so it's not that difficult. But I can say that langurs, you need little bit time to identify individuals, because
So,
that's not that easy. Langurs.
so sir, in macaque, like if I see, because most of my encounter with macaques are the nearby around city. So, for example, I see a flock. What do you say? A group of this
Uh,
monkeys.
we can call troop or group. Yeah.
Okay, true. So if I see this troop of macaque, this rhesus macaque, so I see one male who is very robust and like a strong, big one. So is it dominated by one male in rhesus macaque in urban areas and all, or there are multiple males they are dominating the whole troop?
Okay, so research, the social organization, so there are different kind of social organization, like a diverse kind of social organization in primates. So that's why primates are really fascinating. The primates, some of the primates are solitary. Okay, for example, if you look at the slow lorises, so they're basically solitaries. So female and male, they work differently, like in different places. So they live a solitary life, and whenever there is a opportunity of mating, the male and female come together. The male will mate with the female, and then they again go their own way.
Separately.
And then we have this pair living species like a hula gibbon, so where they live in a pair. Okay, so sometimes we call them monogamy, but strictly monogamous. Monogamy is not strictly there in primate, or in that case in many other animal species. Then there is a one male, multi female kind of troop. For example, langurs. Langurs has one male and there are multiple females. So one male monopolize different many females. Okay, but this one male, but you may see that there are other male also in the troop, but this male has access to females, not other males. Okay, so other males are like in the transition phase. But macaques have a very complex society. It's called the multi-male, multi-female troop. So there may be multiple male and multiple female. So and the male can mate with any female and female can mate with any female. But within that also there are some dominant individuals, because the dominance hierarchy is quite visible. So there are some dominant species, not only on male. So I think this is also one thing that I really wanted to highlight here. So for a long time, people have this perception that the primate society is predominantly male one, and the perception was due to very interestingly, because most of the researchers were male
Hmm.
researchers. So
Hmm.
male researchers tend to see that male thing. Okay. Then when the female started looking at macaque society or the primate society, they started looking at the females. Then they found that there is a very strong female dominance hierarchy exists there, so which was not there earlier. So that really is a very interesting development. So it's because when the female started working on primates, so they started bringing the female.
Oriented data.
Yeah. So because till then it was like a very stereotype, like males are the. But in primate society, what happened? The social organization is dictated by how the resources disperse. So female tend to overlap with the resources, and then male follows it. So it's a female who decide where to go, how to eat those resources, how to defend those resources, and male are then associate with the females. So it's dictated mostly by the female in primate societies.
Sir,
So that's why that's why there is a paper called "Why There Are So Many Female Primatologists." So in fact, if you look at the literature or the development of primatology, so most of the well-known people, primatologists are female.
female, yeah, Jane Goodwin.
And actually, that also brought a very interesting perspective to entire debate of either male or females. Okay.
So, sir, I have a sort of an interesting question which also applies to my field of work. That rhesus macaque, because I am stressing on rhesus macaque because many of the urbanized society or where we are growing up, we see mostly rhesus macaque. We are exposed to rhesus macaque, so I have lots of questions regarding that. So, are as we see rhesus macaque, lots of troops of rhesus macaque in urban areas or where there are temples and all. Do you see in core forest area similar big troops of rhesus macaque?
Yeah, that's a very very interesting question, and I'm glad that you asked it. I did a 6 month survey in Upper Assam for my PhD work. I visited close to 40 fragments and the contiguous forest. Only twice I encountered research troop in the forest, inside the like a so called the core area or little bit interior of the forest. So otherwise, most of my sightings are on the periphery of the forest. So though people are saying that the research number has increased, but they haven't increased in the core areas. So my hunch feeling is that they're moving out of the forest now because uh, the resources are available freely in the adjacent areas. So that's why you'll find most of the primates in the human settlement or human habitation areas, human settlement areas, and most of the time, and also along the peripheries. So most of the time, what they do is they come out of the forest and forests whole day, then they go at the edge of the forest and select some tall trees or say bamboo patches and then roost for the night because that help them to avoid predators like leopards, etc. But
So,
you're right. So you may see a lot of rhesus macaque in city areas, but they are not commonly found in interior of the forest.
those who are found, for example, in the forested area, wherever you have encountered in forested, maybe not core, but buffer zone or whatever it is. So, do you see any behavioral differences between the urban rhesus macaque who are highly urbanized and those which are living in buffer zones?
Uh, I do not. I cannot say right now. I think what are the beer, but they were very very shy. So whenever I spotted them, they just run away because I think it's a constant chasing by people or maybe some. So in areas where there is a lot of hunting pressure, unfortunately, most of these fragments in Upper Assam do not have that hunting pressure, and most of these places where hunting pressure is too high, the primates tend to be very very shy. So if they see you, they will just run away. So that's why it's extremely difficult to habituate primate area in a very heavily hunted areas. So interestingly, so in my 1.5 month of survey in Mizoram, I haven't encountered a single rhesus macaque in the entire 1.5 months. So
So,
does it mean that so we keep telling about the species which are endangered because gibbons hog the limelight most of the time, right? Because gibbons are the clear living animals and they're cute. They looks like humans. They're very close to humans, and they're very easy to see. The vocalization is quite amazing. But I think somehow, if we start looking at macaques, so I think they are also facing tremendous threat in most of the northeastern states. Okay, so I'll tell you one very interesting study that was done by McCain in 1932. So McCain went to Nagaland at that time, and he reported that there were these stump-tailed macaques were so many numbers. So he equate stump-tailed macaques with the rhesus macaque of plain. So their number were so high, or they are so aggressive. Okay, now tell me how many places you can go right now in Nagaland and tell me you have encountered stump-tailed macaque. Very few places.
very
Very
few.
very. So definitely.
So, like, I wanted to know, like, there are many species of macaques or primates. They stay sympatry to each other.
Yeah.
Is there? I was like wondering because nowadays, because of the various pressure and induced pressure, there are cases of hybridization coming up in
Mhm.
various groups of animals. So, in your whole study frame or time frame that you have taken in study or you have read, gone through literature, have you ever encountered such hybridization between?
Yes, not exactly hybridization, but I have seen a phenomenon called the mixed root. So in
Okay,
Borazan, I think even if you go right now, I think I don't know what's the condition right now. So when I was working there, I found uh, two rhesus individuals incorporating into the Assamese macaque. And it's not just by chance, it's not a fluke. They were moving together, and I encountered them frequently later on also. Okay, but you are very right that the hybridization is happening. So between rhesus and the bonnet in some of the overlapping zones, the rhesus and the bonnet are mating and producing hybrids. Particularly, I think there are reports of hybrid from Goa, and I think there is Sanjay Gandhi National Park also, because there are both mixed groups are there. Rhesus also there, and the bonnets are also there. Okay, but longtail and the rhesus are also a hybrid. There are some hybrids between longtail and rhesus in
so
hybrid.
so if I come back to the very basic thing that most of us, including me, want to know, that how many species of these primates are there in Northeast India and Assam?
Okay, so I have to just check how many species are there in northeast India. Okay, so just a minute. There are,
Okay,
there are two gibbons northeast,
okay,
two
okay,
gibbons,
okay.
uh,
I'm counting.
Kaplangu, okay,
Okay,
Kaplangu, golden
okay,
langur,
okay,
Prairie leaf monkey,
okay,
and eight, I think eight species of macaques,
okay.
and one species of this loris.
Loris. So it makes it like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
15.
1, 5.
Okay, so wait,
Sorry,
not eight.
14. 14. 1,
Okay,
4.
so recess, yeah. Let me check.
So, sir, we can take that one and you can put it in the comment in the Facebook so that everyone can see how many species. Now, the basic question that I would like to know is like very, for example, those species which are like very different from each other. We know how to identify or how to get it. For example, if I say like how to differentiate between rhesus macaque and Assamese macaque, and how far is the distribution of Assamese macaque? Is it a very endemic species to this
Not,
region?
not really. It's not endemic. So if you see rhesus macaque, the
No.
Assamese macaque, so
Yes.
Assamese not that much actually. So from Uttarakhand,
Okay.
Nepal,
Huh.
uh, Sikkim, Bhutan,
Hmm.
Northeast India. Then if you go to Burma,
Hmm.
up to Thailand,
Hmm.
so they have a very wide distribution.
Hmm.
Assamese macaque. And rhesus
Okay.
macaque is more widely distributed than Assamese macaque. Okay,
Okay.
but and if you ask me how to differentiate between rhesus and Assamese macaque, and
Yes.
you rightly said that they are sympatric.
Hmm.
So we don't have I really wanted to explore this idea of how they are partitioning resources in Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary. So Holongapar Gibbon Sanctuary for my PhD dissertation, and I was pretty much sure that I will do that. But in 2005, I found all four macaques in Holongapar Gibbon Sanctuary, including Assamese macaque, rhesus, pigtail, and the stamp-tail macaque. But 2008, I went there and I failed to find Assamese macaque. So after almost a year search, I found all the other species, but not the Assamese macaque. So Assamese macaque between 2005 and 2008 they vanished. So
So
we do not know why they vanished. There was only one troop that we found in 2005, and 2002 also when we did a survey we found the um, this species there. But
so sir,
Hmm.
So, sir, what is the rarest out of the eight that you have said? What is the rarest macaque of this region?
So now you know that Dr. Dilip Chetri and Dr. Uday, Mr. Udayan, they found the white chick macaque
Hmm.
from northeast India, so
Hmm.
from Arunachal Pradesh. So I must
Ah,
say that is right now the rarest because it's this population is not known that much. Okay,
okay, okay,
white chick macaque. Yeah.
okay.
So,
So it's a
but
very,
other
very,
macaques, yeah.
it's a very interesting find that. Can you, sir, do you remember or recall the year that they found this species?
I think this is last year. Last year, I
Oh,
think.
it's a very recent finding.
Look, it was not found earlier, so they found the range extinction of this species in northeast India. So
So,
there
so
is a
what
paper.
was so where was it found?
Uh, I don't remember exactly where it is found, but it is found somewhere in Arunachal Pradesh.
So, sir, before it was found in Arunachal, what was its last known range?
China,
Oh, China,
yeah,
not Thailand, not Myanmar, China.
no, China.
So there is a big gap between. Do you think it's a data deficient zone that Myanmar, Thailand, these are?
I think so. Yeah, Myanmar particularly because we do not have because like Myanmar, the research is not that flourishing. The Even we do not know how many individuals of Western hula gibbons are there. Okay, so it's kind of a difficult in Myanmar to estimate population size. So
Sir,
yeah, yeah,
you just told taken the name Western Hulog Gibbon,
yes,
and I used to know that this is the Hulog Gibbon. So then
yes,
there is one Eastern Hulog Gibbon.
yes. There is Eastern hula gibbon also.
So where in Guwahati or Assam we get Western or Eastern,
We get Western hula gibbon here.
and where do you get, sir, Eastern?
Eastern, if you go to, you remember this Sadia?
Yes.
Sadia, I think if you go there, you'll get Eastern hula gibbon. And if you go to rowing also,
Huh,
Arunachal, so
huh.
you get the Eastern hula gibbon there.
So
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 there is
is there?
a
i-
difference mostly on the fur color. So, for example, there is something called the uh, nuptial tuft, the tail. There is
Okay.
some whitish tail in case of Eastern hula gibbon, but it's not present for Western hula gibbon. And the female of Eastern gibbons are much lighter than the Western hula gibbons, and there is
So
some difference in the eyebrows also. There is a gap between the eyebrows also.
sir, is there any zone of confluence of Eastern and Western where both the species meet?
That's a very interesting thing, like so so the area where the Eastern hula gibbons are there, okay, and then there is a Namdapha National Park, okay, then there is a Myanmar, okay. Now Eastern hula gibbon also found in other parts, but what about the population of Namdapha? How they crossed the Namdapha and came to the say Arunachal Pradesh, where they are currently located. So Dr.
Okay.
Anwardin said that it's not a new species; it's a subspecies of the Western Bullock gibbon. So there is a little debate going on there.
So, sir, as of now, do you know of any molecular work being done between these two species?
So I do not know about it, but I'm sure that Dr. Umapati of
Huh.
CCMB might be doing some genetic work on this species. So that,
Okay, sir. So now, if we go on to the little bit like deep into the taxonomy of uh, primates and gibbons and macaque. So if I may say like, so if I say the word primate, that includes me as well, right?
yes, yes, definitely.
So
So
the
that's why it's called non-human primates.
okay,
So there's
non-human.
primates and there is a non-human primates.
So the bigger group is said the primate. So
Yeah.
I would be very interesting to think like what is that thread which binds me with a rhesus macaque? Like what is the
You
character?
tell me. You tell me. So what is the similarity between you and the rhesus macaque?
How they bind us together? What is the constant
So
thing
there
that?
are look, just like any other taxonomy. So there is not one like a definite definition for that can say that okay, this is a primate and this is not. Okay,
Okay,
so there are multiple combination of different characters.
okay,
So that define a primate. So some of them are like we have nails.
okay,
Okay, so if you look at the rhesus also, they will also have nails.
okay,
Okay, so that is one of the characteristics.
okay,
Then but there are some primates who still have the claws. So they have
okay.
the slow loris, they have a claw. It's called the
Claw.
toilet claw.
Okay, okay,
Claw. Yeah, and there is a the brain size of rhesus, the primates are little bigger. So, for example, then we have these opposable fingers. So, if you see,
correct,
so
correct.
this is for the grapes. Okay. Then we also have the primates also have a prehensile tail. So
Correct.
the prehensile tails are not found in the old world primates. So these are found in the new world primates. So this acts as a fifth limb.
Okay.
So you remember that if they can hold the
The
branch with tail, then
tail.
they
Yes.
can reach to places which otherwise they couldn't go. For
Go.
example, the branches are very saggy and the branch cannot take their weight. They can extract the fruits from there. So that acts as the fifth limb. Okay, it's like kind of circus. Okay, so this is the very interesting characteristic of primates. Okay, so it's not found in other species, and we have this binocular vision. So
Okay.
our we do not have a monocular vision, and we have this. The primates also have the short snout. So if you look at
Okay.
it, it's not like a dog, right? So dog
Correct.
or some other
Yes.
species.
Bigger one.
Yeah. So we have a little bit flat face. Okay,
Okay.
and then we have a very large and intricate brain.
Okay.
So if you look at the brain and you take the proportion with the body size, so we have a much larger brain compared to say elephant. Okay,
Yes.
the rhesus brain I think is much larger than the elephant. So elephant though it look very very big,
Ratio.
but
Ratio in ratio.
yeah, but if you look at the ratio, so the rhesus have the larger brain than elephant. So
So
these are also related to like how they process the information and because the complex brain is also associated because they can then that allows them to do some complex work. So what we call loosely intelligence.
sir, I have seen in Animal Planet or Discovery and this that some of the chimps and all are using some tools. It's a
Yes.
very popular video. So they are using tools and all. So in the primates of Northeast India, have you because you are interested in behavior, you told me. So did
Yeah.
you see any such behavior where evolution they have evolved a tool using technique?
Not really, Aditya, because I was not able to see it because you need like a very long-term observation on these primates. And unfortunately, in Northeast, I don't think we have continuously observing some troops. Okay, so some of the time, what happened like when our PhD gets over, then we do not follow that particular troop for a longer time. I think in order to get this kind of behavior, because this behavior is very rare, it will just come and go. Okay, and sometimes what happens, this behavior can be visible. For example, I'll tell you one very interesting example of mango washing by Japanese macaque. Okay, so do you know about it? So what
Sir,
happened? There
what?
is a the mango washing
Okay.
behavior of Japanese macaque.
Okay. Okay. Mango washing. Okay.
Japanese macaque. There's only one macaque species in entire Japan, and I'm really happy to tell you that the Japanese primatology is really really old. Okay, so we keep telling about we keep looking at the West for inspiration, but most of the Japanese primatology it is really really old, and that really helped most many. primatologists around the world. Okay, so there's a distinct the Western philosophy and the Japanese philosophy of primatology. Okay, so what they found that one particular female called IMO. So that this is also very interesting. So Japanese primatology they name the individuals. So
Hmm.
what you're asking me that whether you'll be able to see,
Identify.
yeah, they can identify them and also they can name them. So just
Okay.
what Jen Goodall also did, and she really got a lot of criticism from her Western counterparts. So Japanese primatology, one very interesting character is they have a detailed observation. So they also name the individuals. So this an individual female individuals called Imo. So she started washing potato because there is a provisioning troop. The people, the government used to go and give this sweet potato to them, and whenever the sweet potato are thrown to the island, so the all the potato is laced with grain, sand, and if
Huh.
you eat this, it's very difficult, no, because the grain, the sand will go, and it's not a very pleasant feeling
Taste.
experience. So what Imo did was, so she put that sweet potato in water, and all the grain, all the sand settled down, and she could now eat it without. So now that particular behavior, so she discovered that she innovated that behavior. Now what happened? This behavior started spreading in that particular population, so particular group. So then, when the others started seeing the emo washing potato and eating it, others started also doing the same thing. It was not there earlier. Then what happened? That particular troop, all of them started washing potato and eating. Then
Hmm.
slowly, other troops also learned that behavior, and much later, most of the population in that island started potato washing. So this is a cultural transmission of the behavior. So this is also kind of a, if you look at it, it's a, so what's the culture? So it's, if it transmit from one to another, like what we are teaching it,
We are. Hmm.
yeah. So that's quite fascinating. So and what you are saying is like tool use. So chimpanzees also take this leaf, small twig, and they put
Huh.
it in the termite mound, and then
Correct.
they knew that the termite will attach to this twig, and then they will just take it and eat it. So
Okay.
the tool use. So one thing is that so why we study chimpanzees? Why we are studying apes? Because we also wanted to understand what, because behavior never fossilized, right? So
Right.
that's why by studying our closest relative. So actually, the primatologist, or what we're calling, it's a, earlier it used to be part of the anthropology.
Hmm.
It was not called as a primatology. It was not part of the wildlife. So the anthropology has a very longer tradition. So it was part of the anthropology to understand our behavior, our ancestors' behavior, because I said we were never
How we
fossilized.
create. Huh.
Yeah,
So, sir, just I'll ask all the viewers that because we are almost at the last leg of our discussion. So, if you have any questions, any comments, or anything that you want to know, you please kindly write it in one comment. So it becomes very easy for me to take and for us to take. So, any observation that you want to share, because in this platform it will be beneficial for others as well to know your questions or your observation. So this is the main aim to is to make a bridge, a platform, so that data can be exchanged. So please send, because we are just 15 minutes we have in this whole time frame. So moving along, sir, I have this question, like most of the monkeys or macaque or primates, whatever, they are day active, right?
they are,
They are day active.
but not all. So
Uh,
there are
slow,
nocturnal species as well.
slow
So
lorries and all are like nocturnal.
Lolaris, galagos, lemurs in Madagascar, most of them are nocturnal. And there are certain species which are crepuscular. So
Okay.
they are very active during dawn and dusk.
Now, so
So
in northeast, if I say the nocturnal primate, it's
only the
just
slow,
that slow lorries.
only the slow ones.
Tell me, sir. I have a very curiosity. Like if I am right, sloth is also a primate, right?
No, no, sloth is not a primate.
It's not a primate. But
Not-
so if you say like slow lorries, if I anything, because I was going to
So
bring a rich.
there is a very interesting thing. So that sloths are found where?
Sloths are found in Madagascar, I think.
South America mostly.
South America. Yes.
So, sloth are also polyvorous. Okay.
Okay.
So interestingly, when so the primates of South America and Central America, Mexico, Panama, Mexico particularly, they are called the New World primates. Okay,
Why
uh,
is this so?
because they colonized this continent later on. So the
Okay.
primates were mostly evolved in Africa, and the African primates and the Asian primates are called Old World
Old world.
primates,
Hmm.
and including Madagascar and the primates in South America and Central America are called New World primates. So interestingly, because sloth was already there in South America, so we do not have folivorous primates in South America because that niche was already occupied. So
Okay.
there's a rapid diversification, adaptive radiation South American primates, and the ancestor was traced to Africa. So then must be wondering how the from primate from Africa went to South America.
South America.
Okay, but they need to cross this Atlantic Ocean, right? So it's a very interesting theory. So the primates actually they uh, raft, okay, and they reach to South America apparently, and then from one or two clade, then there's a lot of diversification happened in South America.
So, sir, so like this, I because what I am telling you in terms of sloth and all, because this, if I take this example of slow loris, like all the other primates are quite fast, quite agile, and quite what to say, quite ferocious, and that is how they are surviving and anti-predatory, and they can ward off their predator. But when I saw this slow loris, it is neither very fast nor it is, I have not seen it to be very aggressive. So how it is escaping predation? Is it because of this night thing? They are it has adapted to night because to get benefit or anti-predatory, something like that. What I did you understand, sir? What I mean?
Yes. Do you think slow lorries are slow? Have you seen them?
I have whenever I have seen them, they are not very fast. But
They're pretty fast. If situation arises, they're really fast. Okay.
okay,
So
okay,
and slow learners, as you correctly said, maybe this is also the anti-predatory because the more you move, the more you are conspicuous and
okay,
but though the I think this little bit the name is little bit misnomer, you know. Like I have
okay.
seen slow
So
learners walking really fast. So
okay,
once what happened, like I went with my students and they were also really like, fascinated by this. So in given wildlife sanctuary, so they generally rescue some of the slow loris which go outside and then they release there. Okay. So as soon as they release this individual, it was really fast. It really quickly went into the forest. So I still remember that. Then I was asking, do you think slow loris is slow? I think it's not. But definitely, slow loris is uh, maybe the predatory strategy to go a little bit slow, so that it's not visible or not conspicuous to predators. So, and by the way, slow loris is the only poisonous primate in the world. Do you know
and
that?
yeah, I have heard about it, but I
So
want to know why.
never handle slow loris with the bare hands. So
No,
on,
I never. I handle only myself, sir. Nothing else. So, sir, tell me one thing. Uh, Slow loris, where is the poison?
the poison,
Venom.
I think
Is it
it's
venomous or poisonous?
I think it's called the venomous. Yeah,
Okay.
but it's not a fatal. It's not a fatal. It will not kill you, but it will really make you really ugly. So one I remember once I remember one researcher was got bitten by I think one slow loris and his lips were really big. So so I think they have this. They mix. the I don't know I don't exactly remember this mechanism, but they mix something with their saliva, okay, uh, and yeah, I think they mix something with their saliva, some secretion from the gland with the saliva
Bite.
uh, and bite. Yeah, I think
Okay, sir. So we have crossed 50 minutes. So we are having last 10 minutes. So there is lots and lots of questions that already
really
have arrived. That have already arrived. So we will take some of the question before we go ahead in the
sure.
discussion. So first, a few of them are saying hi to you. Jayanto Das, Joydeep, and Hiten Bora says the sound. I think the sound is now clear. And then this Ajit
Oh,
Kumar, he says an
yes,
interesting culture.
Ajitji, I already told the story of Emo,
In between a
but
specific phase.
not so many stories about Northeast India.
Okay, so yeah, the
And it
way
was
you
hard.
told. So Aditya from you, he
Ah,
clarified the area. Anjwal district of it was from Anjwal district.
yeah.
Okay. So then, Tanvir, I think you are happy today
Yes.
because Tanvir was like asking when you are bringing some primate expert. So here he is, and you should ask. So, sir, you can just go through. Just two questions. What about the distribution and current population status of Ferris langur in Assam?
Okay, so Assam, I think Feris langus are mostly in the South Assam, Mizoram, and Tripura. I think that much I can tell. These are three states in northeast India where we have Feris langur. And what will be the way to translocate gibbon, single or the whole groups? So I'll say whole groups because these are the social species, and if so translocation locations should be the last option. That is what I always did. So if there is no other measures, then only you should go for translocation. So it should be the last measures to translocate species, particularly gibbons. And most of the time, what happened with the research and other species, the translocation fails because the people do a lot of work on translocation of research from the problematic area, and they people have this conception that forest is their habitat. Okay, so and they will just catch it and leave it to forest, and they think okay now they are okay. So it's like catching you from a area and putting you into some very posh area. It's not like that. They have their certain uh, limitations, so they cannot always survive in forest. Okay, so it's not like I just catch them and release them in the forest, and then they don't know what to eat, what not to eat, where are the food resources, because a lot of these things are there. Okay, because the primate society also evolved. They know exactly where are the fruiting trees, where are the resources distributed in their home range. So I always tell that it's very important to keep in mind that the translocation should be the last option. So if there is no other option, then only do the translocation. And if you are doing it translocation, you need to catch the entire group because primates are socialist individuals. So it's not like if you catch one adult male from here and adult female from there, and you think they will be happy. No, they will not be that happy. Okay. And gorilla is the wild, do not use captivity with you. How long does it take to get this? It's little bit difficult to say, Titir, why gorilla do not use tools. Maybe sometime what happened. Maybe we are not observing them well enough. Okay, for example, for a long time, there is a conception that with hula gibbon, they just lick the leaf and eat lot of fruits and eat lot of tender leaves to satiate their thirst, so the water need. But what I found that they also use tree holes, so from the water from the tree holes to drink. Okay, so that was the paper which is published in the behavior processes, and I found that this behavior was there in all the new world primates, but very few literature from the old world primates. So that's the first time that we reported this behavior from bonnet macaque, Hanuman langur, pigtail macaque, and the western phyllogical. So there are lot of the time I think we need a long-term data to say this kind of thing. I know that there is a lot of work that has been done on gorilla, but whether this is because of some behavior that we are missing, or whether there is no tool use in gorilla, I'm not in a position to say that. Okay, I want to ask, now so much work has been continues to be. Yes. So when I went to get permission from the forest department, they said primate work has already been done. It's done and dusted. Okay, but so they said why you wanted to do this work? That was in 2008. Okay, now you see there are so much that you pick one species and you cannot in your lifetime you'll be able to understand it. So they are throwing this surprise every now and then. Okay, so then what we are saying about the big cats. So very interestingly, we do not have a very good understanding of tiger. So forget about other species. So what's the ecology, behavioral ecology of tiger in Kaziranga? We do not have that kind of answer. Do you have? I don't think so. So it's never you cannot in your lifetime you cannot finish understanding particular species in your lifetime. So even these chimpanzees in Gombe, where Jane Goodall worked for the last 50 years. So even now they are getting very new insights from this chimpanzees. So 50 years of work. Japanese primatology, which is they're monitoring some of the population for the last 50 years. Still that they're getting new insights. So I think it's if somebody is saying that okay I have done my work and there is nothing that can be asked for this particular species, I'll say I think that's not correct. There are a lot of things that you can do, and because a lot of the behaviors are like habitat specific. So what the kind of behavior that we may see in Sundarban, it's not there in Assam. So what is making tigers eating fishes in Sundarban and not in Kaziranga? So yeah, so there are a lot of things that you can do. So it's never ending. From the Indian perspective, what we think might be the biogeographical barrier of climate dispersal. Okay. So one big primate dispersal barrier is Brahmaputra. So in Brahmaputra, there are some primates which are in the south of Brahmaputra. For example, Western Hulak gibbon, pigtail macaque, northern pigtail macaque, and stump-tail macaques. They are not found on the north of Brahmaputra. Okay, so if you go to north of Brahmaputra, you will not find it. There are certain species which are confined to north of Brahmaputra. For example, the golden langur, which are not found in south of Brahmaputra. So at least one barrier that I can tell you that this exists in Northeast India, which is the river Brahmaputra, and there are many barriers. Uh, this is a journey to the path of special Huh. So what you need to do when you encounter any primates, do not look directly in their eyes. Okay. So if you start looking at if you are making eye contact with primates, with macaques, they will perceive you as threat. Then they will attack. Okay. So if you see any troop of macaques, just ignore them. Don't look at them. What and don't run away. Just take your own pace and just cross them. So if you are looking at their eyes directly, they will attack. So you just
So, sir, I'll be taking only the question. The comments, like there is a comment like you have already shared few stories. So if time permits, I will get back to you for one story at least, which is very like intriguing and very interesting from the field. And Narayan sir, thanks. Sir, what do you what to know about slow? So slow roll is poison and venom already we have discussed.
yeah.
So we'll move on to the next. Sir, what are your comments on the hybridization of Nilgiri langur and grey langur that's occurring in southwestern Ghat and the viability of the hybrid species?
Yeah, I do not know about this. This if there is a overlapping zone, there might be some hybrids, and the viability. I think it's you need a long term data to say that whether those hybrids are viable or not. But I do not have that information from the south. Still, let me search hybrids. So only thing is that if I say the work on Sankita, if I say walk on Western Hula Gibbon is done, okay, I'm living in a fool's paradise. Okay, so so what you can do, you can really work on primates which are there in your backyard. You don't go too far. So I'm telling my students that if you really wanted to work, and if you are really reluctant to go to field of because of permits and because of financial problem, we can work on primates which are there in the city. We do not have any idea about how many individuals of primates are there in Guwahati. Do we have it? So there are estimates of the people are saying that there are 700 species of 700 individuals of 750 individuals of this zoo in around zoo, not inside the zoo. But do we have that concrete data? I don't think we have. So this is a basic question. So what's the interbirth interval between in rhesus macaque? Do we have that data from the field? No, we do not have that data. So there are basic demographic data that we are lacking. The basic population level data that we are lacking. So we do not have to go to say Bombay or say in a very exotic place to look at this. So we can do very fine science sitting in cities. So that is what, and we need a very good study design that there shouldn't be any compromise. There should be very good questions that you can raise, and you can build on those questions. So you can build on your entire career. So there are people who are working on, say, my supervisor worked close to 25 years on primates in Bandipur National Park. So there is a Wolfram dictators who worked on 30 years in Tok Makak in Sri Lanka. There are people who are really devoting their entire lives studying some of the troops. So why not? We can start some work in Guwahati. So don't go very far. Let's start by asking a very fundamental question: how many individuals of research are there in Guwahati? So can we come up with a study design that can answer this question? Okay. So we do not that's why I'm saying that there is no dearth of good question. So you need to ask very good question, then follow this. So I think the money and other things is the secondary. So we should not constrain our thinking by just wondering, okay, I cannot go to say Arunachal, I cannot go to interior places, I do not have money, I do not have funding. So I think you can do this very nicely if you have a question. So you can get really great results sitting in Guwahati also. Any update on the status of Bengal slow loris in Meghalaya? No, Sudipto. I do not have any status of Bengal slow loris. I'm really hoping that you can start that work. Uh, Sometimes funds problem is found in the case of climate project. How can we overcome this? So this is a genuine problem, but Debolina, what I really wanted to say you that if you have a good question, okay, the funding is not a problem. So there are a lot of funding agencies. For example, if, sometimes the behavior work on primates are very difficult to get funds. So there are many. The majority of the funding agencies give you fund to conserve species. Okay, so nobody is going to give you to say, okay, what the interbirth interval of say research macaque in Guwahati city. No, they will not going to give you that fund. But there are places which give you fund to study behavior as well. I think we need to search it. So I'm definitely sure that the fund should not be a constant. Okay. What do you think, sir? What are the scope of vocalization behavior study in primates from nature? Yes, uh, enough scope. No vocalization study has been done on primates of Northeast India. No, nothing.
So we have a great discussion, sir, and you see one of the highest number of question as I expected you faced, and we had almost 15 minutes were devoted to questions. So at the very end, because you took out a time to
It's
be
my
here.
pleasure. Yeah. You are doing a great job by doing this kind of work because I personally was not able to attend all of your this thing, but I'm listening from others. I'm encouraging my students to also attend this because whole day they are doing their reading and watching videos and discussion. Then at night 8 o'clock, I think it's I think the best way to utilize the lockdown.
Sir,
Uh,
last question. Last question that came right now. So I want you to take last. This is the last question we are taking.
okay, how can we conserve primates in the face of global change? So one of the biggest factors that contribute to primate loss is the habitat loss and the fragmentation. Okay, and so interestingly, last century, not a single primate went extinct. Okay, so shall we be very complacent that so you may have noticed that there are a lot of say uh, uh, bird that went extinct, amphibian reptiles that went extinct. Okay, not a single primate went extinct. So does it mean that we can be very in a comfortable situation? No. So my answer is no, because there are. I'll give you a few examples. So Hainan gibbon, so which are found in only in one island in Hainan. There are 22 individuals, two individuals, only 22 individuals left in the wild. Okay, so what we are looking at in this century is maybe a lot of extinction episodes of primates. Okay, so we are not seeing them because one is that their life span is little longer. Okay, so if there is one gibbon, so it can be in that particular fragment for say 20, 15, 20 years. Okay, and second is that they are carrying something called the extinction debt. So they are committed to extinction. But because there is a very interesting concept, you can search it and you can do some further research on it. So it's called the extinction debt. So all of us, all of the species are carrying that debt, and so in future you may see some of the
Sir, can you just repeat the term extinction?
extinction debt, DEBT,
Death. Okay.
debt.
Okay.
It's like dhar, udar ki zindagi.
उधार की जिंदगी. Correct.
So
So,
yeah, I just wanted to tell you that after frogs, I think primates are the most endangered species now. Around 56% of primates globally are under this threatened category, vulnerable, critically endangered, endangered. And so one of the major factor is the habitat loss and habitat fragmentation, and then there is a poaching also. So that's also contributing a lot of climate decline, particularly in areas where the bushmeat is quite prevalent.
sir, we already we have run over time, and thank you. Like it was such a pleasure that I know you can talk
I know
for
it's. I think we can talk about primate for the whole week.
a
Actually, that's the entire.
week. So thank you so much for your time, and we really genuinely feel that we have learned, and that is the motive. Like there will be many that are very new, some are intermediate, and some are expert or so-called expert. So that will be
Thank you so
uh,
much for giving this opportunity, Aditya, and
uh,
all the best for what you are doing, and you're really doing good.
thank you so much, sir. Meet you sometime in very soon
Thank you
once
all
we.
of you for your kind comments and questions. So hope my lecture
Uh,
was little bit helpful for
Yeah,
you.
it was, and thank you so much, sir. Thank you all of you for being there. We will be coming back with one more with someone else, one more episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.